Hello and welcome back to your South King County real estate update. My name is Sarah Eggleston with Stone Egg Realty at John L. Scott, and I am back to deliver your South King County real estate news for the week. I'll go ahead and jump right into the slides because we do have a lot to get through today. All right, so today is August 5th, 2022, and Seahawks schedules are in. I will be sending them out in the next week-ish. So make sure to get me your contact information as to where I should send this, and it'll be headed your way. And let's find out what happened this week. I'm going to jump right into the slides because there is so much to get through today. First off, this is out of the Northwest Multiple Listing Service, the Northwest MLS. This article comes out each month. They interview a bunch of brokers and managers in the industry and release it with a bunch of statistical data to back that up. So brokers say all parties in housing transactions need to recalibrate during the shifting market. There is a lot more inventory than there has been. Prices are still high. Interest rates have gone up. I really thought this quote really brought it home. Today's buyers have their cups finally overflowing with options as residential inventory grows to about 2 months of supply. So this is the most supply we've seen since January 2019. So well before the pandemic. There is so much more on the market today than there has been for so long. Active listings have nearly doubled from a year ago, and there is evidence of slower activity. Pending sales have come down about 24%, and closed sales have come down about 30%. Buyer opportunities have returned to the Puget Sound market, including increased availability and selection of properties, as well as fewer multiple offer premium pricing situations. And that comes from J. Lennox Scott, Chairman and CEO of John L. Scott. He was also talked about experiencing buyer gridlock. So there's a lot of people that are looking for their future home, want to sell their previous home before moving. And he says home sale contingencies are a useful tool for homeowners in similar situations during this time. This is something we have not seen for a couple of years, and we are seeing now in the last month or two. Home sale contingencies mean that you need to sell your previous home before purchasing the home that you're going under contract on. So you write that into the contract of, I will purchase your home if I can sell my old home. That's something that we didn't see for a very, very long time, and we are seeing that again. Prices are remaining fairly steady. They've come off of their seasonal highs, but we're basically heading into our fall winter market where we expect to see prices decrease throughout the year. Seattle area home prices dip as market cools. As I said, there's more homes available on the market. This is so exciting. This is like, we have been asking for this for 2.5 years, and now we have inventory. Yay! So the number of condos for sale in King County was up 15.5% from a year ago. For single family, it's more than twice as many. I'll show you those numbers in just a second. Median home prices around the region continue to dip. Since May, prices in King County have dropped 11%, or $109,000. During the same span last year, prices were flat. We saw a huge record increase in prices, and then since May till now, prices have dropped 11%. So this shows that the home sales and condo sales in King County, closed sales are down in pretty much every region. Prices are still up year over year in every region in King County. For condos, it is the same story. For a while, condos and single family homes were singing totally different tunes. Now it's a similar tune, just different volume. And so this is all great news for buyers. Single family home average in King County is 890s, which is down significantly from May. Of course, we know that the 30-year mortgage has gone up since the beginning of the year, but it's actually come down a little bit since its highest this year. So that's good news as well. As the market cools off, it would now take nearly 2 months to sell through all single-family homes for sale at current demand across the region. So our months of inventory is right around 2 months, just under 2 months of inventory, which we haven't seen in a very long time. But anything under 6 months is still considered a seller's market. So we're still very much in a seller's market, just not as intensely as we were a few months ago. And this shows the 4-county region price change, and you can see in all regions we've come down from May. In Pierce, that is much more subtle than all of the other counties. King County dropped dramatically in the last 2 months on the median sales price. And if we look at the submarkets, these are home values. The darker the red, the greater the percent increase in median prices. Enumclaw is the darkest red at 22.3% year-over-year change. Everywhere else is faded. In January, February, March, all of this was dark red. And now we are seeing that back off pretty significantly. So if you take all of this together, Seattle has been defined by Redfin as the market that is cooling the fastest out of any major housing market in the country. And Tacoma ranked number 10 in this same metric. But despite that rapid change, at least this economist, and I agree, definitely don't think Seattle's home prices are going to tank. The Seattle area prices will continue to decline throughout this year, as we would expect seasonally. But overall, we expect things to stay fairly steady on pricing heading into next year. Washington tenants need to work 72 hours a week at minimum wage to afford rent. And this is as an average for the whole state. I just wanted to throw this in here because I've mentioned during my past shows that rents do increase throughout recessionary times. And there's a lot of people projecting that there will be a recession. I'll get to that in a minute, but we've hit one of the metrics already. Right now in Washington state, 72 hours is the average somebody would have to work to afford a 1-bedroom apartment. If you bring that to a 2-bedroom apartment in the Seattle Bellevue area, they would have to make $39 an hour or $81,000 a year to afford that 2-bedroom apartment. This is just a map that shows this data. If Washingtonians were to spend 30% of their income on rent for a 1-bedroom apartment, they would need to work 92 hours at minimum wage in King County, Snohomish County to afford a 1-bedroom apartment. If you take that to a 2-bedroom apartment, they have to work 109 hours a week to afford that at minimum wage. Single parents trying to have a separate bedroom for their kids that are really struggling, making minimum wage, working as much as they can. 109 hours is so much work per week. That's pretty unsustainable. All of these metrics come from spending 30% of your monthly income on rent. 4 in 10 renters in the Seattle, Tacoma, Bellevue area pay more than 30% of their income for rent. 1 in 5 spend more than half. All of this adds up to really tight budgets. So any unexpected expense, a car repair, medical, sickness that makes you miss a couple days of work, that can all really add up and put these people in danger of homelessness. And rents are rising in addition to that, especially outside of Seattle. 30% in Auburn, 27% in Everett, and 24% in Kent. This is pretty significant price increases. 30% increase from year over year on your rent. So renewing and it's 30% higher. That is going to be unsustainable for a lot of people out there. This one I just wanted to touch on really quickly because I thought it was super interesting. Open Door is a company that they're considered an iBuyer or an investment buyer, and they promised homeowners that we'll buy your house at market rate, fix it up, and then we'll sell it and make money. They have to pay out a huge settlement now to settle claims about misleading marketing practices. Basically, they convinced homeowners that their home was worth significantly less than it was, that they would make the same amount if they listed on the open market, which is very much not true. They are paying out $62 million to the Federal Trade Commission to settle these claims. So if you have questions about iBuyers, reach out. Just know that deceptive practices among iBuyers are really common. We've seen it with Zillow to a certain extent, now with Open Door officially. Just if you're thinking about selling to an iBuyer, seriously, reach out for a second opinion. I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do, because it might be right for a specific situation, but reach out for a second opinion, please. And this article I was hoping to get to last week, but I did not. So this is actually from the 24th, but we need to keep building houses. We have underbuilt for a very, very long time, decades. After the housing crisis, builders basically stopped constructing homes on a mass scale, and our population has only increased. So rents are rising and vacancy rates are low. People are looking for homes, and for a long time, nothing was available. Now they can't afford them. So we just need to build more homes throughout our entire nation in order to make it more affordable in the future and have a sustainable housing supply and reduce homelessness going forward. We are at a decades-old housing shortage, and home builders are pulling back across the country on development. They took this company, Hayden Homes, as an example. They build a ton of homes throughout the Pacific Northwest. The last couple of years, their problems were they couldn't find lumber. The workers were scarce. Prices were going crazy for materials. Supply chain issues caused problems with getting a whole variety of things needed to build a home. But the one thing that builders were not short on was qualified buyers. There was low interest rates, high household savings. All of this came together to make a lot of buyers in the market. So they ended up building as fast as they could, despite the fact that it was hard to find land and materials. So fast forward a couple weeks, 30-year mortgage, we started the year at 3%. We're now 5 to 5.5%. We popped up to 6% for a second there. And that really has made home buying way less affordable for so many people. A lot of people have a fear of buying in the height of the market and then having their home value decrease. So they're pulling back even though they could buy a home. So builders are pulling back on building. They are sitting on inventory that they are having a harder time selling. They're selling it for less than they thought they would a few months ago. Basically, economics 101, by cutting prices on the houses they've already built and by pulling the plug on virtually any project that was not already too far along to be abandoned, they're saving money, and that is what economics 101 says to do. But that does not help our house supply shortage. This is a serious, serious problem. And really, I don't think we'll see any sort of comeback from it unless either the government starts building houses or offers incentives to builders to build houses. The estimated nation's deficit on housing supply is at about 3.8 million units, and that was from last year, up from 2.5 million units in 2018. So you can see that we just have a lack of housing, and that's why housing prices are going up so quickly. Supply and demand. We don't have a lot of supply. Once we see interest rates come back down, I think we'll see housing prices continue to skyrocket. If only I had a crystal ball. The chief economist at Freddie Mac said that the Federal Reserve is trying to snuff out inflation by increasing interest rates, which is leading to a pullback in construction, which will make housing even less affordable down the road. In a sense, policymakers are solving the immediate cost of living crisis by making a longer run cost of living crisis even worse. The slowdown in home building would not have such a significant effect on the nation's overall housing supply if builders could quickly adjust to demand, but that is just simply not the case. It is a very complicated industry with a lot of factors that play into pricing and how quickly things can get done. The supply chain issues just created a huge backlog, and they weren't able to get homes built before interest rates rose. And therefore, now they're having to drop the price on some of these new builds make less, and cancel projects going forward. And that brings us to our Market Stat Minute. We had 820 new listings in the past 7 days in King County, 881 pending, and 586 sold. Here's since the beginning of the pandemic, but I broke it out into just this year, so it was a little bit easier to see. And you can see the new listings did tick down significantly from a few weeks ago and is starting to remain steady. But we did see an increase in pendings, which is nice. We did see interest rates come down just slightly, so seeing that increase in pendings is not too surprising. If we bring it to our local area breakouts, Federal Way actually has more new listings than pendings, but that is the exception. Renton and Kent are pretty close. They still have more pendings than new listings, but it's not a blowout like Auburn. Auburn, 32 new listings to 48 pendings. Auburn has a little tighter supply to shop from this weekend than the other areas you see here. For Southeast King County, this is our monthly recap from J. Lennox Scott, Chairman and CEO at John L. Scott. Overall, we are seeing about 50% of homes going pending in the first 30 days. The lower price points under 350K, there's still an extreme frenzy going on. There's a lot of people that reduce the amount that they were able to qualify for because of the rising interest rates. Those lower price points are still going pretty quickly, but the higher up in price you get, the slower the market is. And overall, we have 50% going pending in the first 30 days and about a 1.8 month supply in Southeast King County. If we bring it to Southwest King County, that's about a 1.5 month supply and 55% going pending in the first 30 days. So pretty comparable overall. The lower price point, 0.5 month supply under 350K, 77% of them going pending in the first 3 days. That is still an extreme frenzy. Last week, we had an average mortgage rate of 5.3%. And if we bring it to this week, we have an average mortgage rate of 4.99. The first time we've been under 5% in 4 months. Last week, the Fed did increase the main borrowing rate, the Fed funds rate, by 3/4 of a point. And as a result, mortgage rates dropped. This is a very complicated web of stats and figures that affect mortgage rates. The Fed funds rate is just one of them. If we bring it to today's interest rate, though, it's 5.45% for our 30-year fix. We did jump up this week pretty significantly. I do have those summer buyer and seller guides available. If you would like a copy, please reach out. I would be happy to send one over to you, either digitally or mail it over, as well as our Seahawk schedules. I have these available to mail out, and they'll be going out in the next week or so. So please let me know if you would like one, and I will get it over to you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My phone number and email address are on the screen there. I would love to have a conversation with you about the real estate market in your area or an area you might be interested in moving to, or even just, hypotheticals. Let's get together and chat. I would love to have that conversation with you. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's episode of South King County Real Estate Update. I'll be back here next Friday at 3 p.m. with your local real estate news. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week. Have a good one.